What you're witnessing actually happens. This is a sad story about bad math.
Bad math?
Does your online company include mounting?
You can't beat the online pricing.
When you add the mounting, the shipping, and all the extras, it's just simple math. We guarantee the lowest prices. Our Plus plan is simply better, a less expensive way to buy tires. Thinking tires? Think Tires Plus.
Carson, timeout.
Who calls a timeout in this game?
Me, I'm icing the kicker.
Really?
It'll give us more time to talk about First Western Bank and Trust,
Like our convenient online banking.
along with smart trust service options.
We're all about hometown service with bankers that know you and the community.
Okay, go ahead and kick.
I don't believe this.
First Western Bank and Trust. You can bank on us.
Getting that perfect slice is satisfying, fulfilling, and rewarding too. But we don't do it for fun. We do it for fresh. Slice to order makes a sub above.
Come from Vibetta Orthodontics. Vibetta Orthodontics is a certified Invisalign provider. Invisalign fits your budget and your lifestyle. Braces for children, teens, and adults with affordable monthly payments. Schedule your complimentary consultation and exam by logging on to VibettaOrthodontics.com or by calling 701-839-6010.
Great smiles come from Vibetta Orthodontics.
Fire damage, Agent Fred Iron. From burnt to unburnt, he does that.
Spicy Pie, a great place to take the family out for lunch or dinner. Spicy Pie is much more than jumbo pizza slices. They offer a wide variety of menu items, including grinders, wings, tacos, salads, flatbreads, and even desserts. And remember, you can try any of your favorite toppings on a gluten-friendly 10-inch crust. Dine in or carry out. A new pizza creation added to the menu every month. Bringing New York-style pizza to the North Dakota Prairie. Spicy Pie, 1100 North Broadway in Beaver Ridge on Minot's North Hill.
Ackerman Esvold, your neighbors, friends, and family who are working for you. The local team with local availability and accountability for all of your engineering, architecture, environmental, transportation, and land development needs. Your project can rely on Ackerman Esvold. Find them online at AckermanEsvold.com. When you start your project, talk with Ackerman Surveying and Associates. Our experienced surveying team guides you in the right direction with planning, platting, and lot and boundary surveys. The trusted name in land surveying, the trusted name in architecture and engineering is Ackerman Surveying and Ackerman Esvold. Find them at AckermanEsvold.com.
Could talk, they'd tell you life is better with LASIK. No more reaching for your glasses. No more dry eye from overwearing your contact lenses. Right now, Bismarck LASIK is offering free consultations for LASIK procedures. Break free from the daily hassles and expenses of glasses and contacts. Life is clearly better. Book your free consultation today with Bismarck LASIK and see the difference. Call 222-2020 or schedule online at bismarcklasik.com.
You have built an amazing life by working hard and doing your job well. Delivering financial advice is what we do well. At Ameriprise Financial, our job is to use our skills, experience, and research to help you become more successful in today's economy. What we want you to walk away from each encounter with is satisfaction in knowing that together, we've done what we can to help you work toward a better future.
BNC has been here for over 25 years.
We're still a community bank that's there for you.
When you come in with your business plan, your vision, your idea, we can make it a reality.
I love seeing projects come alive for our clients.
We're real people helping real people.
We know you, and we're always happy to see you.
We build relationships. You're part of the BNC family.
We are part of the community.
It's what we're built on.
Yours truly, BNC.
Spicy Pie needs to be your only stop for the best in pizza, grinders, wings, tacos, salads, flatbread, and even desserts. They offer several specials throughout the week, including their Epic 14 football season special. Get any one topping 18-inch pie for just $14 with promo code EPIC14. Dine in or carry out. If you're looking for a place to watch your favorite sports team, Spicy Pie is the place with lots of TVs to watch the game. Dine in or carry out and kid-friendly, bringing New York-style pizza to the North Dakota Prairie. Spicy Pie, 1100 North Broadway in Beaver Ridge on Minot's North Hill.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
This has been a presentation of the PSP Network. Thank you for joining us for the Scotty K Show. Make sure to like and follow the PSP Network on all social media platforms. PSP Network, it's game day.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Spicy Pie, the Scotty K Show, live here from the Spicy Pie each and every Wednesday night throughout the school year. Do want to let you know as we hit the month of November that we will have shows this Wednesday, next Wednesday, the following Wednesday, but we will take the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We will take that off and so that everybody can enjoy the Thanksgiving holiday weekend and that sort of thing. But thank you for joining us. And yeah, I said it's November. Boy, it didn't feel like November the last couple of days, but guess what? I think it's going to feel like November starting tomorrow, as we got a cold front coming through, is going to drop the temperature about in half. I don't know if we got over 70 today, but it's supposed to be like 35 to 40 tomorrow for a high. And speaking of being into a new month here at the Spicy Pie, we have a new pizza of the month, the November pizza of the month. Mac is back. The bacon and mac cheese, plus the sides of mac and cheese are also back here on the menu. Want to let you know about an upcoming Dine to Donate event here at Spicy Pie coming up next Tuesday, Election Day. Longfellow PTA, 15% of all sales during that time period will be donated to the Longfellow PTA. Dine in or carry out. That is next Tuesday from 4 to 9 here at the Spicy Pie. All right, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Later on in our show, we're going to talk about Minot State women's basketball. They don't get started until next weekend, but we will talk to their head coach, second-year head coach Mike Brandt, about some of the new faces he's got coming into the Minot State program and some of the veterans that are returning. We're going to talk three-class basketball proposal, and we'll talk about some of the latest developments there here in just a bit. But it's also semifinal weekend in the high school football playoffs in North Dakota. Semifinals will be played in all four divisions, 11 AA, 11A, 11B, and 9B. Let's go through the pairings real quick here. We're going to talk to Larry Sandy, the head coach of Velva Garrison Drake Animus here in a little bit. But the semifinals for the 11 AA will have Bismarck Century at Fargo Davies. Century pulling off the big upset over number 1 seed Cheyenne last week to move on to the semifinals. The other game will be played in Mandan. That will be number 2 seed. Mandan hosting number 3, Fargo Shanley. And that game you can hear right here on the PSP Network. Pre-game show at 6 o'clock and kickoff at 6:30. 11A semifinals has Fargo North playing host to their rival. We'll change that up. It'll be Fargo South playing host to their rival, Fargo North, on Friday night, and Jamestown will be at home against Grand Forks Red River. In the 11B, it'll be Beulah at home against Central Cass in one of them, and then a PSP broadcast game in Velva. Velva Garrison Drake Animus, undefeated on the year under Larry Sandy, will take on Hillsboro Central Valley, the number 3 seed. That'll be a 2 o'clock game, pregame show at 1:30 here on the PSP Network. And also in 9-man, we'll have the number 4 seed Cavalier Tornadoes traveling to Lemoore to take on the defending state champions. And I don't know how many games it's been since they've been beaten, the Lemoore Litchfield Marion Lobos. They come in at 10-0, and the other one will be another PSP broadcast game. That will be in New Salem as the number 2 seed, New Salem Almont Holsteins. We'll take on North Prairie. That's a 2 o'clock start. We'll be on the air about 1:30. The Dakota Bowl will be the following Friday. All games on Friday at the Fargo Dome. The 11B will be the first game at 9:10, followed by the 9B division. Then the 11A, and then the final on Friday night. We'll have the AA final from the Fargo Dome. All right, that gives you, by the way, region volleyball starts next week around the state of North Dakota. In fact, in some of the super regionals, we have play-in games going on over the weekend, but we have one here coming up here in Region 6 at the Minot Municipal Auditorium. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But our first guest here on the Scotty K Show here, live from the Spicy Pie, Wayne Stanley, the school superintendent at South Prairie, joins me. As I mentioned last week, we talked about it on the show 2 or 3 weeks ago, but the 3-class basketball proposal that has been around, I guess, talked about here for the last 2-3 months, did get the 60% approval from the school districts and from the schools from around the state of North Dakota. Just to give you a little update, and then we're going to bring Wayne into this, 65% of the schools, of teams were in support of the proposal. That's 80.5 teams of 124 that supported the proposal. 114 school districts supported the proposal, including all co-ops. 17 schools were neutral. What that means, they didn't put a yes or a no in, and then we had 19 schools against the proposal. Now, the proposal was presented to the High School Activities Association Board of Directors yesterday. As of now, no date has been set for the board to discuss the matter. They have these choices: don't accept it or accept it. They also do, I want to reiterate that they do have the option to tweak the final report and change what they want. Now, if it is approved by the board, I would say in the next near future, the plan would take effect in 23-24 season. So that kind of gives you an idea where it's at. It's been presented to the board. And I tell you what, a couple of weeks ago, I had Larry Durr, who was a member of that focus committee that they set up to look at this proposal. He was on, talked about why he was in favor of it and why his school district is in favor tonight. Wayne Stanley, superintendent of schools at South Prairie, joins me. And Wayne, through some text messages and some social media posts that we had back and forth, I just want to say right off the top, I thank you very much for joining me tonight. South Prairie is not a school that's in favor of this 3-class proposal. I'm going to throw it out right now. Why?
Ultimately, Scott, and thank you first for inviting me to come on, the competitive balance and some of the reasonings that were sold to the people of why we need a 3-class system, the merits behind it are great. The reality of what's being proposed is what we really question. From South Prairie, for a school that's got 25 teams within the 60-mile radius of us, to now all of a sudden go into a new division where we'll have 3 teams within the 60-mile radius of us. We know and understand our Travel costs are going to multiply significantly, things on that level. Participation was a big push by the committee. We've got to get participation rates up, things like this. Just because of the number of drops in boys, girls basketball over the years, we've seen such a decline in it. And it's been within 7-8 total between boys and girls what's declined in the past years. Is that because of the imbalance that's out there in the two-class system right now? I don't believe so. When we look at it from South Prairie standpoint and just seeing what's going on since we've started a high school the past 7 years, travel team ball games, things like that is a huge impact. This year I've got a couple of juniors stepping away from girls basketball simply to go into JCO volleyball year-round with it, and they're specializing in one sport versus being multi-sport athletes. The number of 3 and 4 sport athletes is almost extinct in North Dakota. It's very, very few kids are that active in it. I've got friends that their kids are into softball here at Minot High, and they're looking to go to Arizona for tournaments and things like that in November, December. So, just kids being multi-sport athletes, to me, is one of the bigger factors. When we look at our own numbers, South Prairie, we've got roughly 40 junior high kids, 7th and 8th graders playing volleyball. That number drops to 20 when we go into junior high basketball for girls. Our varsity girls, we're sitting at about 35 girls playing varsity volleyball at that level competing. We're going to look at 14, 15 girls playing varsity basketball or trying out for varsity basketball.
Okay.
So ultimately, is it going to be an increase in participation if a 3 class goes in? I highly doubt it.
The question I have, and I do agree with you there on that level when you talk about it, because I agree. The thing that I've seen over the 40-plus years I've been in this business and doing what I've done is the one thing that frustrates me is you've got kids that are so much into specializing in just one sport. Now, I'm not going to blame any sport for starting that sort of thing, but you're seeing it in hockey, you're seeing it in basketball, you're seeing it in softball, and now more and more you're seeing it in volleyball. So I agree with you on that part. I think in some school districts it might increase their participation, but overall I don't know if the numbers are going to go up that drastically.
No, we're not going to see the huge increases, I think. Ultimately, when we look at the plan and where it's at, there's been kind of a moving target all along.
Mm-hmm.
How did the plan get to where it is? How did it end up at the final process? And it comes down to what gained the 75 schools to say, yep, we support this. And when I look at it, it's a plan right now that's going to end up in the court system. Plain and simple, as you look at the plan, as it's been presented, and I've got to sit in on the past couple of presentations by the committee to the School Board Association, to the school leaders group, and it was great to see what their intent was, and it came out very loud and clear.
All right, I'm just grabbing for something here. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take the focus. And the thing about it is, so point blank, and we talked about it off the air, and I think, Wayne, you will talk about it on the air, on record, that you think that this proposal has a good chance of not being passed by the High School Athletes Association Board. It might be thrown back to a bunch of committees, take a little bit of time, and ultimately end up in court.
I believe so. When you go through it, when you have a complete slide on the presentation put out by the committee about the unfair advantages parochial private schools have over public schools, it kind of sets the tone of who and where and why this proposal is coming about. How did it get sold? How did the schools buy into the fact that, yep, we're in favor of this, or no, we're not? The original numbers were sitting at about 150 to 500 for that original class, 500 and above for AA, 500 to 150 for A, and then 150 and below for the B. And not a lot of garnishment back and forth. It comes down to 4 parochial schools in the B division. Shiloh Christian, Trinity out in Dickinson, Fargo Oak Grove, and Bishop Ryan. If we can throw a multiplication factor on there to get them into the middle division, somehow all the rest of the Bs jumped in line going, I don't have to play those schools, and great. I look back at the history of Class B basketball in North Dakota, and growing up in the 80s, a team like Newburgh got a lot of support when they go to a basketball tournament if they faced Mayville Portland, because Mayville was the big dog in the fight, and here's a small town Newburgh, everybody sided with them. And we've always had that David and Goliath mentality in the Class B. You get to see it when Grenora comes to the tournament. The whole gym is pulling for Grenora. You're on an island when you're playing.
Hillsboro Epping.
Exactly. And, is it a fact that we're tired that you see some of these teams come to the state tournament year after year? Maybe. Is it a case that you don't want to compete against them? I don't feel that whatsoever. I think our coaches at South Prairie are more than excited to get up for a big game against Bishop Ryan day in and day out.
Wayne, I want to go back to what you said in the first comment here, is that you go from a region, district, whatever you want to call it, but under the new proposal, you were within 60 miles of every school that you would play. Now, if this would go through, you got Trinity, you got Beulah, you got Hart River, you got Watford City, got Standing Rock, you had Stanley, which is probably within 60 miles. But for you as a school district, that's going to cost you some money.
It's going to quadruple.
And you're going to have to answer to the school board.
Exactly that. It'll come down to, if we're going to get it to fly as it sits, there's going to be a lot of doubleheader nights where it'll be a boys-girls matchup, because we're going to send one bus when we go to Dickinson Trinity. Will it entail that we got to spend the night and play South Hart and play them the next night, where you're spending money on hotel rooms and overnighting, but you're making one physical trip back and forth? And it's a logistics nightmare. I'm pretty fortunate to have a Brian Kramer as my athletic director to help solve those issues, but financially it's going to fall onto the districts. We see every time we play a team that's out of our 60-mile radius, gate is down. If we're going to play Ray here at South Prairie, we know it's going to be a smaller gate. From the time that the school district started 7 years ago as a high school, we've got the numbers in place, and what we've recouped in gate, in ticket prices, things like that. To say that your basketball program breaks even, it doesn't.
And it should be one of your money makers.
It should be, yep. In the 7 years, our volleyball team's only down about $17,000, and that's only paying officials and equipment costs. It's not the coaches coming out of that. Girls basketball's down about $7,000, where boys basketball draws a bigger crowd. That's probably down about $3,000. So you look at those and go, okay, this isn't a money maker, and it's not. Football's the ultimate loser, because you're hosting 4 or 5 home games a year, and astronomical costs for equipment and things, and keeping helmets and
if you're
safe.
good enough to make the playoffs, it costs you even more.
Exactly.
And and it's not a point where you want to say we don't want our team to make the playoffs, but hey, people got to understand it costs money, and in this day and age with the way things are going now, it costs more than it did 10 years ago.
Exactly that. As we looked at the plan and go through it, when you see the original numbers for Class A, the ratio, the justification that is it fair that a Devil's Lake or say a Standing Rock, or not Standing Rock, but Belcourt, Wahpeton are playing a team 4.26 times their size. And when you look at the Bs, you got 5.18 times their size. So the justification comes into play. Yep, it makes sense. Let's get into that rationale.
Wayne, and I know I'm going to ask this question, and I know you don't mind me asking this question. I've said from the start, 10 years ago when this was first proposed and came out of some bigger schools, I was totally against it. This time I'm a little bit more in the middle, because that's why I like to hear from Larry Durr. I like to hear from Wayne Stanley. I'd like to hear from Josh Johnson. I would love to hear from some of the other opponents from parochial schools that I've heard, making statements, that sort of thing. But in the world we live, is there a perfect solution out there? No. Well, I didn't answer that. I didn't answer that for you. You get your own say there.
I'm gonna tell you it this way: if you take your emotions out, if you take the heartburn out about I don't want to play Shiloh or I don't want to play Bishop Ryan and I'm sick and tired of getting beat by Oak Grove, if you take that out of the mix and you look at the stats of it, I look at North Dakota going, we've got basically about 8 major cities. A lot of them have 2-3 schools per district now. When you run the numbers, you take the multiplier out, and I honestly believe the multiplier will not fly any way, shape, or form.
So you think the multiplier is hurting this proposal?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the reason for that being is that it goes against the bylaws of the High School Activities Association. There's a transfer rule that's already in place, and it states a minimum 3 times within the bylaws that for like a parochial school, their home district is the town that they are a part of.
So Shiloh is Bismarck.
Shiloh is Bismarck.
Oak Grove is Fargo. Trinity is Ryan is Minot.
So to simplify the transfer rule, to explain it to people,
please simplify it.
If you move from, let's say, Bismarck to Minot, and you reside in the South Prairie School District, you're instantly eligible to play at South Prairie because you've purchased a home there. If you enroll at Bishop Ryan or our Redeemers, you're going to sit out a year because your home district, the one you moved into, is South Prairie. So you've got a 1-year sit on it for a kid that moves into a district and attends a private school. If you come into Minot Public, you're instantly eligible at Minot High or Bishop Ryan or our Redeemers as a freshman and above. The first time you go anywhere, if you haven't started school yet as a freshman, you're eligible regardless of where you're at. That's where you're declaring your eligibility. So, that transfer rule comes into play, and the standpoint of the public schools being against the multiplier, it's set up there to try and get our parochials in place, but it's also punishing the public schools. We've got open enrollment, tuition waivers, things like that in place at South Prairie. Those kids are getting counted twice. So as an example, my principal, Darwin Rutledge, his daughter's been at South Prairie since first grade. So for the last 8 years, she's been a South Prairie Royal. She knows no other school district. This proposal tells me that she's an outsider, that she's not a part of the district, and it's not her residence. On paper, she's literally about 100 yards out of district is where she lives. So from that standpoint, the multiplier, when you're treating the parochials in that manner, counting every kid twice, it does it to the point that you're going against a protected class. Because of the parochial schools, are a protected class within the courts, and it's going to end up there.
Okay. And the other question I want to ask, you talk about the parochial schools, and I understand why South Prairie High School, it's not about who they have to play, it's about what it's going to cost us to go into this new class. But maybe, and people have said this to me, and I'm going to say it to you, maybe what we should do is we make a division for just parochial schools.
There are states that have that, but there are also states that we're looking at 20 to 30 parochial schools, to where you're sitting here with 8 parochial schools in the state per se that are participating in. It's an unreal expectation.
And I don't want to take anything away from any parochial school in the state of North Dakota, but I would agree with you or anybody else that has that that is saying what you're saying, Wayne, is that you're still going to have the Shilohs and the Trinities and the Oak Groves and the Bishop Ryans for that are going to dominate that division. Williston Trinity Christian will struggle. Our Redeemers, for the most part, will struggle. So I don't know. I don't think that's the answer. Okay, and then another school, and I'm not trying to be prejudiced or anything. A lot of people talk about Fort Winds Minnewaca. They have dominated in boys basketball, Region 4, for, 20 years. Nothing against them. They're a good team. But where do you put them then?
Well, the simplest fix for all this when I look at it is use the stats. If we take the top 16 teams from number 1 going down to number 16.
And you put them in the top division.
Yep, put them in the top division. It gets you an enrollment, and I'm just going to use Minot as the example at 1,500
and go
kids.
Yep.
So Minot at 1,500, they're listed at 21, but it's also throwing Minot North at 600. So when Minot North opens, Minot High isn't going to be at 2,100. 600 of those kids are going to be at North.
Exactly. So you just half it. I mean, okay.
Yep. If we take the top 16, it takes Minot North at 600 up to Minot High. It's a 2.6 multiplier.
Yep. Okay.
Then I go to the next 16. I go from number 17 down to number 32. Any guess that multiplier? It's 2.6. Now you start looking down the list of Class B. So you got your middle division at 2.6. That ultimately would be Turtle Mountain at 549 kids, going all the way down to Stanley at 208. You go from the 33rd team that's going to be sitting here right now with the numbers at Standing Rock.
Yeah.
You go down 72 teams to get a 2.6 multiplier. It literally takes all but 19 teams in the state at a 2.6 multiplier. It's a complete even division. All the ratios are equal. When you look at it from the High School Activities Association, the stumbling blocks that they're going to have to get this in a year, number one, it's the tournaments. Those venues are booked 7 years in advance for a reason. There's not a venue out there that can all of a sudden instantly open up that's going to allow multiple tournaments at the same time.
The other thing, and I never even realized this until somebody mentioned it to me, you're going to add 2 state tournaments. We have enough trouble with officials in this day and age now. Now we're going to add 24 more officials that are going to have to do another state tournament. I don't know. Can that be done?
Well, my plan would. When you look at it, to treat teams fairly, we're not going to take 50% of the AA and the A to the state tournament. You need to play to a Final Four.
Okay.
Now you turn around and you open up the venue for a super tournament to where boys and girls get treated equally. There's not going to be any Title IX issues where girls don't get to play in the main gym. You'd have a semifinal day on Friday, a finals on Saturday.
Okay.
It opens up every city in the state to host a tournament.
And I admire you for saying that, Wayne, because other people have said to me, he says, why do we take 4 teams from each region in AA? And I'm a AA guy. I mean, I'm a Minot High guy. Love Class B, don't get me wrong. But I'm a Minot High guy, and people, they moan to me, why are we taking 4 teams from each region, from the region to the state? Let's do to a Final Four, or take all 16 to a state tournament.
Yeah.
Let's play it like the NCAA Division I programs do.
And I think years ago, it's ultimately how we were in Class B.
Yeah.
Till we got into the double elimination and going that. I know a few years back, semifinal game, Bishop Ryan got upset by a number 4 team. Came back to the losers bracket, won the region, won the state.
Yep.
You know, the old days in the 80s, they would have been done going, that was a
one and done, you know.
One and done, yeah. Survive and advance is no longer there with the double elimination.
So, Wayne, give me your thoughts. And I know you're not on that focus committee, but I think you're in contact with a lot of these people that are. You're in contact with superintendents and ADs and coaches from around the state. This isn't a done deal. This is, you told me before we went in the air, this isn't going to go into effect 23-24. It might down the road, but there's a lot of things that have to be hashed out in this whole thing.
Ultimately, it's got to get through the sniff test by the high school activities. Will this pass? Is it going to end up in the courts or not end up in the courts? When I've had parents being approached by legal counsel saying, your kids are being discriminated against when they're counted twice the same as a parochial kid is. By all means, there's going to be public schools as well as private schools talking lawsuits. Treating kids fairly equally is what the stance is. I think the best reference, if this goes into effect next year, it's got 2 chances, slim and none. And it's the logistics of it. There's too much to orchestrate behind the scenes to get it going forward. Can it work out? I'm in favor of a 3-class because I do feel it's there. If we want to pattern ourselves, and I look at out in Montana, basically it's 120 and below is Class C, 120 to 200 is the B, 200 to 400 is the A, AA is 400 and above.
And I had a good friend of mine, not to interrupt you, that the post that I put on after I had Larry on and is a Montana guy, good friend of mine from Montana. He posted and sent me a message saying, Scott, don't do it the way you're doing it. We're a 4-class system in Montana. At the time, it was a good thing, but we don't need to be 4 classes anymore.
No. And I was at a BC school. We would move the goalpost from 11 man to 8 man about every 2 years, so we understood what that was about.
But Wayne, being against it, and I understand, and I know what your answer is going to be, and I want you to present that to my listeners out there. You're not against. You just said you are there for a 3-class system. You be willing to sit down and hash this out and take a look and try to refine it and try to come up with the best proposal. It's not that you're against the 3-class system. It's maybe how we're going about it.
Exactly. Trying to get the emotions of everybody riled up to get the Bs to side with it. That's what's past it. The A and the AA divisions are not in favor of it. They didn't get the majority of the schools in those divisions
because they didn't care.
There is care.
Well, there's care there, but the Minot Highs and the Bismarck Highs, they're going to be in that top level anyway.
Yeah, Minot High, there's no value in Minot High playing a Belcourt and beating them by 50.
Or a Watford City.
Exactly that.
And I don't mean that anything bad against Watford City or Belcourt.
Just as there's no value in Belcourt coming to South Prairie and beating us by 50.
Exactly. Exactly.
We're shifting the problem. We're not fixing the problem. Can there be a competitive balance that comes into place? Football's doing it with teams. As you win X amount, you're being pushed up and down, allowing teams to opt up, to opt down. I think there's a lot of things in the background that has to get worked out more than we're going to try and do it this way and get the support of people to come in. And
Wayne, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for being so candid. And as this whole thing starts to evolve, I hope you're only a phone call away. I can give you a call.
Oh, you bet. Yep.
And I know next time you see Larry Deer, you're going to say hi to him. You'll probably have a pop and some popcorn with him.
Yeah. That's the thing there. It's not a.
It's not a. I mean, you don't. You don't dislike this guy because he feels this way.
No. I look upon it, and he's doing what he feels is best for the Glenburn School District. Yep. Trying to get the emotions out of it, and ultimately the high school activity has one shot at getting this right. And if it doesn't go right, it'll be 10 years or 20 years of people complaining about this committee screwed it up or the high school activities did. So I think from that avenue, Dave Shook, who's the president of the high school activities right now, is stated to me it's going to get done. It's going to get done right if it gains the support of the board itself. So I trust those guys that are being put into those positions.
You bet. Hey, Wayne, thanks a lot, and I want to say congratulations. I know you didn't coach him, but congratulations as the AD at South Prairie for your South Prairie Max Royals making the regional volleyball tournament for the first year. I know you're excited about the basketball season. Hey, you got some wins in your infancy of your football program. South Prairie's doing a lot of things, and I just want to commend you for that and on part of me personally and the part of PSP Network.
Oh, it's been a blast to see the teams continue to improve. Coach Schwarzrock with the volleyball, she's just done a phenomenal job. Young team, no seniors on it, so those girls are just clicking at the right time, and hopefully they can turn some magic here this next week at regionals and see what happens after that. But
hey, I know a little bit about your basketball coaches. I spent a lot of time with Sheila when she was at Minot State, and Jordan. I followed him through his high school and college career. You got a great staff out there, and you should be very, very proud of how they're representing South Prairie.
Oh, it's a phenomenal thing there. The lessons Coach Cooper gives to those boys day in and day out, and to a boy, they'll tell you it's not about being a good basketball player; it's becoming a good person. Excited to have Coach Girding coming on for us and leading the girls.
Okay, Coach Girding, I forget about that sometimes, but I wanted to say that on a personal note, and it's great watching them grow as a program, and more importantly as people. It's not about you want to win a state title and you want to have a lot of success, but it's about what happens 10 years from now when those kids come back and see Coach Cooper or Coach Girding and say, "Hey, thank you." There's times I really wanted to not like you, but hey, now I got kids, I got a family, and I got a life, and I got a job, and there's much more than just basketball or football or any athletic.
Instilling in them the things it takes to be a good human being are the lessons that those two coaches really push on to our kids, and we're excited to have that. That's great leadership in itself.
Wayne, thank you very much for joining us, and please answer your phone if I give you a phone call down the road.
Will do. Thank you, Scott.
All right, that is Wayne Stanley. He is the superintendent at South Prairie, and this 3-class basketball proposal isn't dead. It isn't dead, but it could be a long time coming to see exactly what happens. We're going to talk Minot State women's basketball when we come back. Mike Brandt, the head coach of the Lady Beavers, will join me on the Scotty K Show, live from the Spicy Pie right after this.
Looking for a great place to take the family? Choose Spicy Pie. They offer a wide variety of menu items the whole family can enjoy, including jumbo slices, 18-inch pies, grinders, wings, tacos, salads, flatbread, and even desserts. Join them for Taco Thursday with discounts on all Mexican items, including $1.50 tacos. Enjoy their Epic 14 football season special. Get any one topping 18-inch pie for only $14 with promo code EPIC14. Dine in or carry out, bringing New York-style pizza to the North Dakota Prairie. Spicy Pie, 1100 North Broadway in Beaver Ridge on Minot's North Hill.
Carson, timeout.
Who calls a timeout in this game?
Me, I'm icing the kicker.
Really?
It'll give us more time to talk about First Western Bank and Trust,
like our convenient online banking.
along with smart trust service options.
We're all about hometown service with bankers that know you and the community.
Okay, go ahead and kick.
I don't believe this.
First Western Bank and Trust. You can bank on us.
Welcome back here to the Scotty K Show, live from the Spicy Pie on this Wednesday night, a beautiful Wednesday night for the month of November. But I tell you what, get the long johns out because you're probably going to need them tomorrow as we got a cold front that's going to go through that's going to take it from about 75 to about 35 tomorrow. So make sure you've got the long pants out and the sweatshirts and all of that. Hey, that's why it's North Dakota. That's where we live. Hey, I want to let you know that we have a new pizza of the month here at Spicy Pie. It's back. Everybody's been demanding it, and they finally got it back. It is the bacon and mac pizza, and they're also doing sides of mac and cheese. They're also back here on the menu. Hey, we had a great talk with Wayne Stanley, the superintendent of the of South Prairie, about the 3-class basketball proposal that is presented to the North Dakota High School Activities Association. We're going to talk some college basketball. Joining me now, head coach, the Minot State Lady Beavers. That is Mike Brandt joins me. Their season will open up next weekend They'll be on the road out in Sterling, Colorado for a couple of games. Mike, thanks a lot. I would think that you guys are looking to play some basketball against somebody other than each other.
Right, we're really excited about that opportunity that we have in Sterling, Colorado. That's, of course, my hometown and where I coached the junior college there for about 13 years, so it worked out pretty well that we met a team. We're meeting a team from Oklahoma there, so that'll be a lot of fun. But they are itching. We had a couple scrimmages so far, and it's going to be nice for them to get into a real game with the officials, the crowd, and everything. So we're really looking forward to that.
You know, Mike, and I got to ask you, I know you had a couple of scrimmage games, and I know those are, you know, sometimes, you know, kind of limited in what you can do. But it gives you a chance because you've got a lot of newcomers to your program this year. You got some veterans that are back. But just to see them in situations that you really can't do in practice.
Exactly, and especially against personnel. You know, we went against some personnel at North Dakota State, very physical, you know, and that exposed a lot of weaknesses that we have and things that, you know, we just hadn't been exposed to and things that we can really work on about being physical, staying down low as a post, not let the defender push him out like that. So that was really good. And then we played some quickness against some quickness on Sunday with the scrimmage. And that's something that we can't really simulate in practice when you have a super quick point guard, somebody to guard like that. So we were exposed to some weaknesses, and those are some of the things we're working on. But it was funny because you mentioned about playing a real game. We were just talking about that as a coaching staff, how hungry we will be after this week and next week, you know, without any scrimmages because we've had our legal limit of 3. And then kicking it off next Saturday night, they'll be really anxious to play in a real game.
And I'm not going to talk about scouting reports against southeastern Oklahoma because I know you probably looked at some of the things from last year, that sort of thing. But this is not so much about them, it's about you, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's something that, you know, our brand of basketball that we have. You know, coming in last year, the first year, it's always tough to establish yourself as a coach and as a program. And so especially with players that you didn't recruit. You know, they were a great bunch and they worked really hard and worked well together, but there's just a big difference between players that you recruit and players that you don't. And
right.
And I count the ones that are coming back this year. You know, those are ones that I spent a year with, and so in essence, we really did recruit them back. You know, we could have, you know, said, hey, you might want to transfer or whatever, but we didn't invite them back. So it's going to be fun coaching them along with the new ones, but definitely want to see what we can do as a team and what our strengths and weaknesses will be.
And that's got to be kind of exciting to you, because coming in last year, you were as blind as anybody about who you had, and they were blind about who you were. And you had to work through it. I mean, you knew that was going to be a tough year last year, but now you've returned those blend of veterans kids that stayed here, but you have added a lot of kids that you probably have watched for many years, and I know you're excited about this group.
Yeah, I truly am. And the group that we have 6 new players, one walk-on, a sophomore transfer, and then 4 freshmen, and I'm extremely excited about that. We have 4 commitments for players next year, so that's even exciting as we're continuing to keep building. But for this year, keeping that in mind, you know, I'm really pleased. The 4 freshmen have come in and done an excellent job, and you know, it's just one of those things that we recruit them, we saw them play, we have a relationship built with them, and so, you know, what they hear, they're kind of taking as that's the golden rule of what we're saying, and they're not questioning that because this is their first college coaching situation, and you know, in this instance, what I say is that's the law right there, and they're really doing a good job of that.
Hey, Mike, the other thing is I watched you guys a few times last year, and you had to learn. It took probably a half a year to find out what the strengths and weaknesses of your players that you had on the court at that time. Can you give me kind of an idea of the of what we can see from the Lady Beavers this year, or what you want to do this year?
Okay, I think this year, overall, I think the pace of our game is going to be a little bit quicker. We have a really good group of guards, including some of the new ones. And I think we're going to be able to push the ball up the floor a little bit more. I think they're really good basketball players, and they understand the game. And so I think, you know, that I don't think we'll be as easy to scout as we were prior to, just because of the different strength that they have offensively, defensively, and you know, they can create things on their own. I like to run the motion offense, so that, you know, the scout can't say they're going to pass here, and pass here. You know, we do a lot of read and reacting, and we've done a good job with that. So I think it's been real competitive, too. That's something that we kind of lacked last year in practices with the competitiveness. But this year, there's a good balance of, newcomers and returners. Everybody's fighting for a starting spot, and they're all working really hard.
Well, and that's the other question I ask you. With the kids you've got coming back from last year that had to get to know you, and you had to get to know them, and the new kids coming back, are you getting some chemistry built?
Yeah, I think the chemistry is really, really excellent. And that's something that you're always unsure about that until you get them all together.
Right, and I know that. I know that.
But it seems like the new ones and the returners really blended well, and they're getting along. And it's pretty easy to get along right now because they haven't fought each other for playing time yet, and
exactly
everything. But for the most part, I think they work really hard and get along well, and it's exciting to be able to head into the season with that type of mentality.
Okay, as a media guy, we always have to bring it up. You were picked 14th overall and 7th in the North Division in the preseason conference coaches poll. I know you guys don't put any stock in that. You just, but again, you could be a sneaky team. You could scare some teams and sneak up on them, can't you? As you get later into the year.
I think so. I think we'll have a chance. We had last year we proved that we could play some really good basketball teams, and we ended up beating number 1 and number 2 team in our division. That was good. But I do think that it's going to be a little tough early because especially we're going on the road. Really, have one home game before the conference.
Yeah. Were you in charge of this schedule?
Yeah, because last year
I'm blaming you.
We did not win a road game, so I said, "What the heck? We're going to have some more options this year and more opportunities." But next year will be a lot better.
But I want to ask you that question. You play 5 of your first 7 games on the road. With the new kids coming in and what you've got back from last year, this is a great way to get them on the road, spending time not just on the court playing basketball, but off the court in the hotel room, the restaurant, whatever. This could be a big part of you guys building more chemistry as you move down the road.
Right, it could, and that's all part of it. It's so important, and especially I think in women's basketball, that people get along and don't have problems with each other, and that's part of life. But I think the chemistry is so important, and so it's great to get off and get to a good start like this on the road. And as you said, we'll be spending a lot of time together, and they'll see, find out more about that person than they really know about them. But in the first 2 games being on neutral floor, those aren't really road games. I think that's 50-50 split, from us and them. So hopefully we can get off to a good start with them and then see what happens on the other tough road games.
All right, so the 12th and 13th, a week from this weekend, Saturday and Sunday against Southeastern Oakland and Oklahoma, Come back, you play Black Hills State on November 17th, MSU Billings on the 19th, South Dakota Mines on the 22nd. Your home opener is against Dickinson State. Your NICC conference opener is on the road at Moorhead. And the first home conference game will be against Northern State. A lot of people would ask, okay, the guys are playing Mary as the first conference game, but it was because of scheduling, and I know that happens with a lot of schools in preseason.
Yeah, well, and primarily Mary, the women's team, is going to Hawaii.
Oh.
And so he asked if we could bump that game out a little bit and leave her. I didn't really want to do Mary any favors for Mary, but
I know what you're saying.
But now I wanted to be fair with him, and I said it'd be fine if I was in the same situation. I'm sure he would do the same thing for us. But that's why we got it mixed up a little bit on that.
Hey, Mike, I got to ask you because I had Coach Merck, and I don't know if he mentioned anything about it to you. I had him on last week, and I said, "How come you don't do more of these social media posts that Coach Brandt does?" And he goes, "Because he's Coach Brandt." You have a lot of fun with it, don't you?
I do, and it is fun. And my assistant, Amber Wren, she pretty much lines it up and tells me what I have to do and can't do.
Oh, is that something you come up with?
I come up with some of them, but not all of them. But it's a lot of fun, and I think you do it. I'm not doing it for myself, obviously, but I'm doing it for the players. They love to see some old guy doing crazy stuff out there like that, and a good chance to have a conversation piece. It was funny because we were at North Dakota State, and we were standing outside waiting for the bus, and these people were coming back from the football game, and this girl goes, "Hey, you're the TikTok guy." So that was kind of funny.
But Mike, it kind of brings us back to a reality, and sometimes I've been in the business for 40 plus years, and sometimes you just think about the game that's being played on the floor, but it takes you back to reality that this is life. I mean, it's not life or death. I mean, you can still have fun as a coach.
Absolutely, and I think,
And as a team.
Right, we do have fun, and I think they know, we have a lot of fun. I know I'm kind of goofy and some crazy things, but when it's time to get serious and get down to business, everybody does, and I think that's what makes it fun, is that sometimes it's lighthearted, and I love to crack a corny joke in practice, and someone gets a crazy look from them, but just try to ease the tension on them a little bit, either in practice or game, by just saying a silly joke. Sometimes that really helps them out.
Hey, good luck next week in southwestern Oklahoma, and we'll talk to you down the road, Mike.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, Mike Brandt, the head coach of the United State Lady Beavers. Again, they open up the season on the road in Sterling, Colorado against Southeastern Oklahoma State, November 12th and 13th. Hey, we'll listen to Larry Sandy, his Velva. Garrison Drake Animus Aggies play in the semifinals of the state high school playoffs in North Dakota next week. We'll talk to him, on Saturday, we'll talk to him when we come back.
Spicy Pie, a great place to take the family out for lunch or dinner. Spicy Pie is much more than jumbo pizza slices. They offer a wide variety of menu items, including grinders, wings, tacos, salads, flatbreads, and even desserts. And remember, you can try any of your favorite toppings on a gluten-friendly 10-inch crust. Dine in or carry out. A new pizza creation added to the menu every month. Bringing New York-style pizza to the North Dakota Prairie. Spicy Pie, 1100 North Broadway in Beaver Ridge on Minot's North Hill.
Carson, timeout.
Who calls a timeout in this game?
Me, I'm icing the kicker.
Really?
It'll give us more time to talk about First Western Bank and Trust,
Like our convenient online banking.
along with smart trust service options.
We're all about hometown service with bankers that know you and the community.
Okay, go ahead and kick.
I don't believe this.
First Western Bank and Trust. You can bank on us.
Welcome back here to the Scotty K Show here live from the Spicy Pie. With me now is Larry Sandy, the head coach of the Velva Garrison Drake Animus Aggies, who will play in the semifinals this weekend of the football playoffs. Larry, again, last week, before we talk about your upcoming opponent last week, you handled the Dickinson Trinity team pretty well. It was a tight ball game for what a couple of quarters, and then you kind of got into them a little bit.
Yeah, I think, the game plan we had was to be able to run the ball at them from the offensive side and be physical and just keep pounding it at them and give them some unbalanced formations and see how they're going to adjust. And that's kind of what we've done in the past against them. And we were having success. It's just that, we turned the ball over. The possessions weren't a whole lot of possessions in the first half. And we turned the ball over on the 5-yard line one time going in. And that was probably our other scoring opportunity that we had. And, so it's a 6-0 lead at halftime. Come out of halftime, and again, we're put together a drive and feel like we're having success, and again, turn the ball over in the red zone. So it was kind of like, this isn't going the way that we want. But luckily, our defense was able to play pretty sound and not give up big plays or big scoring to allow them to breathe a little bit. And then I think, we just did take over offensively and were able to break some runs and get into the pay dirt and finally get that separation that we wanted.
Okay, your opponent this week, a very savvy playoff team from the past in Hillsborough, Central Valley, well coached. And give me kind of a scouting report on what we might see from Hillsborough, Central Valley on the offensive side.
Well, I think offensively, they're pretty diverse. I think the big thing about a Hillsborough team, like you said, they're well coached and they're well into the playoff culture here and have been in those situations. I think offensively they can give you a lot of different looks, from dive option to lead option, and kind of being a start with an offense, and that in itself creates a headaches for teams with making sure you're responsible for the various options out of that. And then they're able to just run basic power at you and run out of the eye and give you some different looks there, and play action obviously. And they'll spread the ball on you too. And their quarterback, he's very composed and very good field general out there running the offense for them. And they're not a team that's going to beat themselves, that's for sure.
Larry, talk about your team. When they come up on you defensively, are there things you see on film that you might be able to exploit?
Well, we think we have the ability to be, be pretty flexible within our offense also. I guess, last week for the first time all year, we just kind of got giddy up on our running game, so to speak, and it was kind of an old school game for me, and that's kind of where I was at for a number of years, and we've developed, into more of a passing team, and then spreading it out with the skill players that we have, and I think we're very capable of spreading the field, and with that spread comes less numbers in the box. So, we're used to that game. That's what we've been playing all year long. It was just this particular game, I felt that's where our strength was up front and taking the matchups and just pounding the ball.
The other thing, I look at your team, you got a nice little sophomore quarterback, and he's come a long way, and he's getting better each and every week. But you've got so many other weapons, and these weapons you have are different type of kids.
Right, and it's a good mesh of skills in there also. Ben obviously is the conductor here, and he's able to do a lot of different things between his own running game and his passing game, and a lot of different ways we can get balls out to a variety of receivers out there, and depending on the matchups that we get and the looks that we're gonna have. I think we're a team that's going to be difficult to defend also. So it's going to be down normal playoff game. Which team can have the best battles won up front, I guess, and give those skill players the best opportunities.
And for you to stay away from turning the ball over.
Yeah, you start having turnovers in the playoff game. Oaks had a tough ball game last week. I think they had like 6 turnovers against Hillsboro, and you're just not going to win playoff games like that. Luckily we were able to survive our 2 fumbles that we had, and we did have an interception in there, but that was just at the end of the half and kind of just taking a shot. Normally you are going to have a difficult time rebounding from those types of turnovers for sure.
Well, for you guys, it's a shot. You get a shot at getting back to the Fargo Dome, someplace you haven't been for a while. You've been close, that sort of thing. That would be a great accomplishment for this group of kids, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. They've been a very focused team all year. Ever since the loss in the quarterfinals last year to Bishop Ryan, they were a team that said, okay, hey, we knew what we lost from our graduation and what we were gaining from new kids coming in, and felt pretty good about where we were, and feel pretty good about where we are right now. And we got an opportunity, and now we got to get out and take advantage of that.
Good luck on Saturday.
Appreciate it, Scott. Thanks.
All right, that's Larry Sandy, the head coach of the Velvet Garris and Drake Animus Aggies. Again, they'll play in a semifinal game on Saturday against the Burrows from Hillsboro Central Valley. Velva Garris and Drake Animus comes in 11-0. Hillsboro Central Valley at 10-1. One of 3 games on the weekend of playoffs that you can hear here on the PSP network. That's a 2 o'clock start on Saturday from Velva. We'll have the play-by-play starting with a pregame show at 1:30. Also in the 11B semifinals, the other semifinal has Central Cass at Beulah. 9B coming up on Saturday. That will have Cavalier at Lemoore, Litchfield, Marion. Lemoore trying to complete a second straight or keep a second straight undefeated record trying to keep an undefeated record as they play host to Cavalier, and Lemoore, Litchfield, Marion is the defending state champions. The other semifinal, another PSP game, 1:30 pregame, 2 o'clock kickoff. North Prairie and New Salem Almont, 2 teams that are undefeated, both at 10-0. North Prairie comes in as the 3 seed. New Salem Almont, the home team, the number 2 seed. You can also hear that on the PSP network. Again, starting at 1:30. The AA and A semifinals also coming back here on Friday night. One game will be in Fargo. Fargo Davies will play host to Bismarck Century. The other game, again, another PSP broadcast game. 6 o'clock pregame, 6:30 kickoff. Number 2 Mandan, 8-2 on the year, will take on number 3 Fargo Shanley. In the 11A Friday night semis, it'll be Fargo North playing at Fargo South and Grand Forks Red River at Jamestown. The winners of these 8 games will move on to the Dakota Bowl at the Fargo Dome coming up a week from Friday. The 11B division will play the first game of the day at 9:10 in the morning. That'll be followed by the 9B division at about 11:40 at 3 o'clock. It'll be the 11AA final and the 11A final, excuse me. And the 11A double final will come up about 6:40. Again, that'll be at the Fargo Dome next week. By the way, all those games will be audio only on the PSP network from the Dakota Bowl at the Fargo Dome. Again, want to let you know that the November Pizza of the Month here at the Spicy Pie is the bacon and mac cheese. They also want to let you know that sides of mac and cheese are also back on the menu. Upcoming November Dine to Donate events next Tuesday, Election Day. They will have 15% of all sales during that time period, 4 to 9 in the evening, will be donated to the Longfellow PTA. That's dine in and carry out. We also want to let you know that region volleyball tournaments will come up in both Class B and Class A. In fact, in the Class A, we'll have a game here in Minot tomorrow night, a play-in game to get into the West Region tournament that will be held in Dickinson next week. Minot High will play host to Mandan tomorrow night at Magic City campus. If they win that, they will take on Jamestown in the West Region tournament starting next Thursday in Dickinson. And the Region Class B volleyball will get underway next Monday. Well, I shouldn't say that. Some of the super regionals will have play-in games to get into the region this weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But the region tournaments across the state of North Dakota, all 8, will be held next week. In our area, in Region 4, it'll be Langdon, Edmore, Munich getting a first-round bye. They also, along with New Rockford, Cheyenne, North Star will take on Harvey Wells County in a quarterfinal game on Monday, and North Prairie will take on Benson County. In Region 5 at New Salem, Garrison, the top seed, they will get a bye in the quarterfinals. Garrison, the top seed, number 7th ranked in the state. Also, Central McLean will get a bye as the number 2 seed. The play-in games or the quarterfinal games next Monday will have Center Stanton against Flasher and Shiloh Christian against Grant County. In Region 6, that will be played at the Minot Auditorium. Quarterfinals next next Monday. First game will have our Redeemers, the champion of District 12, against Newburgh West Hope. Then Bottineau against South Prairie Max, making their first appearance in the regional volleyball tournament. Then rugby against Surrey Sawyer, and Bishop Bryan against Drake Animals. And in Region 8 at Tioga, the number 3 team in the state, Kenmare Bowbells, against Alexander in Game 1. Newtown and Stanley in Game 2. It will be Trenton and Ray in Game 3, and Powers Lake Burke Central against Trinity Christian in Game 4. Winners of all 8 regions will move on to the state tournament in Bismarck. Also, the top 4 teams from both the East and West region of Class A volleyball will also move on to the state tournament. That is run together, the A and B, in Bismarck later this month. I want to thank Mike Brent, the head coach of the Minot State University Beaver women basketball team, for joining me tonight. Also, a great conversation with Wayne Stanley from South Prairie, the superintendent, on the 3-class basketball proposal. And guys, this one ain't going to go away. It'll be around for a while, and we'll just see what happens as we get down the road. Thank you for joining us here on the Scotty K Show live from the Spicy Pie on this Wednesday night. Enjoy the rest of this great weather we're having, because it's changing overnight. But we will be back here next Wednesday night. Thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Spicy Pie needs to be your only stop for the best in pizza, grinders, wings, tacos, salads, flatbread, and even desserts. They offer several specials throughout the week, including their Epic 14 football season special. Get any one topping 18-inch pie for just $14 with promo code EPIC14. Dine in or carry out. If you're looking for a place to watch your favorite sports team, Spicy Pie is the place with lots of TVs to watch the game. Dine in or carry out and kid-friendly, bringing New York-style pizza to the North Dakota Prairie. Spicy Pie, 1100 North Broadway in Beaver Ridge on Minot's North Hill.
Ackerman Esvold, your neighbors, friends, and family who are working for you. The local team with local availability and accountability for all of your engineering, architecture, environmental, transportation, and land development needs. Your project can rely on Ackerman Esvold. Find them online at ackermanesvold.com. When you start your project, talk with Ackerman Surveying and Associates. Our experienced surveying team guides you in the right direction with planning, platting, and lot and boundary surveys. The trusted name in land surveying, the trusted name in architecture and engineering is Ackerman Surveying and Ackerman Esvold.